Hello, gremlins. Okay, so I want to do a little chatty yapathon with a draw with me. So we're going to do that. Okay, so if you want to do dishes, if you want to hang out, if you need a little rest break, that's what we're here for. So let's do this. First of all, I want to talk about never having to start with a blank page because you don't got to. I know that sketchbooks is real pretty and so you want to get a sketchbook and then fill it full of draws or whatever, but if you have a really hard time with blank pages, you could just never use a blank page ever again and it will be real nice, I promise. But first, we're gonna pick our colors. Do you like my cute little lunchbox that I use because it has little eyes on it and Ham Hock got it for me and I like it so much? Okay, so these oh my gosh, I'm gonna do this entire voiceover and we're not gonna edit it and everything is gonna be fine. This is my random crayon slash wax pastel slash coloring pencil lunchbox. And for these draws, I have been picking out just a small 3 to 4 color palette and matching 4 crayons to 4 colored pencils. And then that lets me have more range in texture and in depth of saturation because wax pastels, you can go way harder with them and get a much thicker, darker line than you can with colored pencil. So it's nice to really match them so you can get everything from a super chunky, thick ass line all the way to super thin, super wispy, washy kind of colors with your color pencils. So for this drawing, I ended with a red, pink, blue, purple situation. And then later on, I'll bring in markers and highlighters to give it a little more extra zhuzh it up. Okay, but never having to work with a blank page. So, one of the reasons that I advocate for working in 3-ring binders, or maybe not advocate, one of the reasons I work in 3-ring binders, y'all can do whatever you want with your bodies. One is 3-ring binders are infinitely free. There's a million 3-ring binders everywhere that no one wants. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I will take that. But a 3-ring binder, you can also just hole punch literally whatever you want. Plastic and paper and printouts and just random crap. You can put whatever you want in a 3-ring binder. So, lately I have been doing these checklist drawings. You will notice the date is several months ago because we behind, okay? Don't at me. Every week I make a checklist of all the stuff I have to do. Work stuff, emails, groceries, dog walks, art stuff, editing, a million bajillion things that everyone has to do every week. And then I've been turning them into monsters. Because I don't know if you noticed, because I certainly noticed, that the universe is a little bad at the moment. It feels real dangerous to be a trans person like me. You're friendly, non-binary gremlins. That's me. And I don't like it. I don't like the fear that all of my friends are currently experiencing. I don't like the powerlessness that I'm feeling. I don't like feeling like my neighbors all voted for me to not exist. So I've been needing to get some monsters in my work so that I can think about and draw about the monsters in my heart and in the news and on social medias. It's a thing. I really like starting these draws with a real thick line. Get that crayon on there. It gives you it gives you all the decision all at the beginning. And then everything kind of just falls downhill from there. I can spend like 2 to 5 minutes having a brain, doing shapes, really like going big or going home, really getting it in there. And then after that, I can kind of let my brain just lumpkin, pumpkin situation. Do shading, add things, keep going. Let the context that's already established on the page do the thing it wants to do. I like that. It is reminiscent of the universe in many ways. We are in a context often, and we gotta make decisions within and around that and context and with the materials that already exist, with the ideas and bodies and time and energy that already exists. So this version of play where I just follow along and try to discover new ways of using what exists. And Hamhock and I were actually talking about this just last night when I was having yet another emotional crisis about all the things. Is that there's never any such thing as a blank page. You're never tabula rasing it up, right? We're always living and happening and making decisions inside of a legacy of decisions. That legacy is literally hundreds of thousands of years old. That cycle of decisions is the page onto which we draw, onto which we act, onto which we think, onto which we become individuals, have names and personalities. Like all of those things are in this long, long legacy. And so it can help me to think of my art making as a place where I practice the skills of imagining otherwise, of responding to context in new and creative ways. The skills of patience, the skills of honesty, the skills of community, like all of the skills that I think we need in order to fully embody a universal liberation for all people. Like, not to get real cheesy or whatever, but like art is where I practice those skills. Like art is where we can imagine something other than what is right now. I mean, as a disabled artist and as like a neurodivergent weirdo gremlins, I tend to talk about this stuff in relationship to access and disability as like a hotbed of creative potential, and like who you gonna call when you gotta adapt to climate change? Disabled people, because they the ones who knows how to adapt to things. Because like when you have limitation in your life, you get skilled with limitation. And I think when we use our art practices as a way to challenge ourselves in the direction of skills that we think serve the world we want. So, like, I'm practicing recycling materials, I'm practicing using what I already have, I'm practicing integrating, both practicing using what I already have, but practicing integrating, both my like tactical daily grind actions with my more creative actions. I'm practicing using my life as a material for my art. I'm practicing abstraction. I'm practicing communicating about my work. I'm practicing not masking, and I am curious what you're practicing. What in your art practice, in your writing practice, in your meditation practice, in your yoga practice, in your gardening practice, like what are you practicing? What is the thing that you go back to as a place of rest and respite and curious stimulation? Like what is that activity for you? If it's art, if it's not art, I want to know. I would like to be nosy, please. If it's video games, and then what skills do you see yourself practicing there? Are you practicing patience? Are you practicing a new language? We know that capitalism is like really into arrow go up. And we know that especially art practices can get slurped essentially. Slurped into like, oh, I gotta get more collectors, I gotta sell more work, I gotta make more money, I gotta get more YouTube subscribers, I gotta get more patrons, and I am totally guilty of falling onto that treadmill, or of letting the mandatory capitalism propaganda radio that plays in my head every night and tells me that I'm a fucking idiot. Like, it's there, and I can understand how it got there. Like, I understand that I was raised in and taught these values by the society around me. And I can see, Hammock and I were just talking about this. I can see the gulf between my desires and my values. My desires can be like, oh, I want to be like a big famous artist who does like big cool museum shows, and I like show up, and like other artists think I'm cool and they want to talk to me, and like collectors buy my work, and I have a stable income, and I have like there's a lot of desires in there, a lot of desires, but they don't necessarily like meet up and have smooch babies with my values. Like sometimes they do. Like art really is like a very meaningful place for me to interact with the world, but it creeps in. That arrow go up and to the right. It really creeps in and starts to like try to carve off bits of my mind and my habits and my art practice and demand things that I just fully need to not let it eat. cannot I cannot feed the monster, even though like to survive I have to arrow go up and to the right, right? Like I have to do more day jobs and get more clients and find more jobs, and like I need to find more ways to support myself. Like it it isn't, but it isn't enough to let my desires sort of run away with me. These desires that aren't necessarily like won't make me feel fulfilled even if I did get them. That's the honest truth. Is that this engine of desire of arrow go up and to the right can feel so real, and it can promise so many things. It can promise, like, if you just succeed this one time, if you just do this one thing when you get there, it will feel incredible. You'll feel so proud of yourself. Just come along with me. Just believe me. If you just do it, then you'll be good enough. Then you'll deserve love. Then you'll deserve rest. Then you'll have earned it. And every time you get to one of those mountaintops, you realize there's just more mountains to climb. There's just more to do, and I shouldn't say you. I don't feel satisfied ever. I never feel proud of myself. It doesn't matter how much I do. It doesn't matter what I accomplish. Every night, mandatory capitalism propaganda radio plays at full volume. And even if I've had this realization before, even if I am on a merry-go-round where every year in November I get to the place of like, oh, hey, I'm doing too much, I'm grinding too hard, I'm exhausting myself, it's capitalism again. Even if I have to get on that merry-go-round over and over and over again forever, at least I come back to this place. At least I find myself back in this place saying, it's okay. Try again. Just try again to imagine a place that serves the liberation of everyone. A liberation of my neighbors, a liberation of the rivers, a liberation of orcas, like whoever, all the people. I know that shit sounds cheesy, but that's what I'm here practicing. I'm practicing being okay with sounding cheesy because things are cool and I want to like things or whatever. So I'm practicing. Oh my god, that was like a full ass yap. I don't know if anybody else noticed that was like mega yap. Okay. Thanks for drawing with me. Thanks for putting up with my yap extravaganza. Alright. Bye y'all.